What do you think is the most important archaeological discovery ever made? Of course, it's very difficult to say just one thing, depending on your priorities. For example, the most important discovery in terms of deciphering ancient languages, probably the Rosette Stone that I told you about in the video about Tutankhamun. And the tomb of Tutankhamun himself is one of the most incredible discoveries we've made in terms of understanding the art, culture, and burial practices of ancient Egypt. But if what is important to you is to shed light on the history of Latin American civilizations, for example, Jesus, then Machu Picchu in Peru will probably be the most important discovery for you. If you are interested in China, China is especially one of the most important discoveries in terms of military and artistic history. Probably the Terracotta Army is one of the most incredible discoveries in geoarchaeology. Pompeii in Italy is perhaps the most critical archaeological discovery in evolutionary biology. Lucy, who is the ancestor of all of us? The bones unearthed from Ethiopia. I'm not even counting the Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge. But if what you are looking for is one of the most important turning points in the cultural evolution of humanity, then you won't have to look far and wide, because what you are looking for is right under our noses. Göbekli Tepe was built 11,600 years ago. The Egyptian pyramids that are 4,000 years old and the Stonehenge that is 5,000 years old seem ridiculous. But why did our ancestors feel the need to build such a structure? Were they trying to build a permanent shelter for the first time in history, or did they build an altar or a temple to make offerings to their gods? Or were there aliens involved? Let's take a look at the secret of Göbekli Tepe. The sponsor of this video is you. Göbekli Tepe is a hill located 15 kilometers northeast of Sanliurfa city center and was officially discovered for the first time in 1994 by German archaeologist and historian Klaus Schmid. In this photo, we see the hill that was discovered by Schmidt, but this is a more recent photo. It may seem disturbing that such an important discovery was not made by Turkish archaeologists, but the deplorable state of the value given to biology in Turkey aside, there are also some other more technical reasons for this. Of course, this hill was already known by the local people. For example, the hill is called Kurdish. It was called Jairzan, meaning wish hill, and it was believed to be a sacred hill. And Klaus Schmid 30 years ago in 1963, with the partnership of the University of Chicago and Istanbul University, it had already been determined that the hill could have archaeological importance. Teams led by American archaeologist Peter Benedict identified some stone tools during the surface scan they conducted and managed to classify them correctly as the pre-pottery Stone Age. That is, 101,000 years ago. But the problem was that the teams at that time did not realize that what they discovered was an ancient settlement, because it did not seem possible for nomadic tribes living at such an old date to build a settlement. They even found some stones in the region, some of which were the upper surfaces of the famous T-shaped stones of Göbekli Tepe, which we will see in a moment. In fact, let me show you. These stones are buried underground. This is what they look like. So, experts walked on these stones and identified their upper parts. But unfortunately, they thought these horizontal stones were gravestones. Based on this, they concluded that the prehistoric remains of the region were later covered by Byzantine damage. It was actually quite logical to assume that there was an intervention, because the lands where Göbekli Tepe is now were used as agricultural land for many years. Local farmers often moved the stones in the area thinking they were ordinary stones. They broke them and changed the upper layers of the excavation area. Of course, it was impossible for them to know what kind of ore lay under their feet, so it would not be right to blame them. But here it is. Finally, Klaus Schmid from the German Archaeological Institute examined that 1963 report in 1994 when he was looking for a new excavation area and decided to come to the region thinking that it could be an extraordinary discovery.